This is Kevin with MBA Prep School, and welcome to the MBA Mythbuster series. I want to create the Mythbuster series to talk about misconceptions on MBA admission strategies, and today I want to discuss career goals. More specifically, the myth that how you discuss your goals is the single most important part of any application. That's simply no longer the case, and people who still believe that are not being cognizant of how admissions officers have changed the way they evaluate applicants in the last 5 to 10 years. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still some top schools that place a lot of value on career goals. For example, Columbia. Last year, Columbia allowed you to write up to 750 words in an essay that discusses what your goals are and how Columbia will help you get there. But this is now the exception rather than the norm. In fact, among the M7 schools, that's HBS, Stanford, Wharton, MIT, Booth, Kellogg, and Columbia, Columbia was the only school last year that had a career goals essay. The other 6 schools either just didn't ask about goals at all, or only asked the applicants to briefly state their goals in a 1 to 2 sentence response. And that's a big recent change. Back in 2010, which is not that long ago, a school like Wharton was asking up to 1,000 words on career goals, and pretty much every M7 school had a career goals essay. So what does this mean? It means that AdCom now believes the best way to predict future success for an applicant is not by how much that applicant can talk about a feature that hasn't happened yet, but instead what the applicant has actually accomplished in the past. So this is where you need to focus your applications. It doesn't mean using the essays to just regurgitate your resume, but what it does mean is use the essays to elaborate on the details and perspectives of your accomplishments to make sure the AdCom see your accomplishments in their best possible light. Dive into the details of why and hows of your accomplishments and experiences. Why are these things important to you or to your organization or to other stakeholders? How are they impactful to you and to others? How have they shaped your development as a professional and or as a person? And when I say dive deeply, I mean stay away from the cliches. For example, if you're a management consultant, don't say that a tough client engagement taught you how to manage upwards or deal with high expectations or juggle stakeholder interests. Even someone who hasn't worked a single day as a consultant knows that these are things that any consultant is expected to do. And if every consultant is doing this, writing about it is not going to differentiate you from other consulting applicants. Instead, talk about powerful insights you gain in certain industries or companies and how those insights drove your development and passion. If you worked on a pharma project in the US, maybe you learn about the complex interplay between generic and branded drugs and how that interplay becomes a larger issue that affects overall pharma R&D and marketing. Or if you worked on a retail project in China, perhaps you learn how e-commerce plays a central role in tertiary regions and how the relationship between e-commerce and traditional retail will reshape the global FMCG industry. Imagine you're in a Harvard case study class and the class happens to be discussing a case that you actually worked on yourself. Now, as the person who's most knowledgeable about the case, how would you lead the discussion so that your classmates and even your professor will feel like they're actually learning something valuable and exciting from you? And your classmates and professors can only learn from things you've actually done, not from things you claim you want to do in the future. So I hope this clarifies some of the misconceptions on how AdComs evaluate applicants. You still need a reasonable response to the career goals question, and career goals are going to come up again in your interviews, especially if you run into an alum or student interviewer who happens to be in the same industry as you. But for your applications, do not automatically assume that career goals are the most important thing. In most cases, it would be much more effective strategically to focus on things you've already done. Just like most employers and recruiters will decide which job applicants to interview based on the applicant's past experiences, MBA AdComs are now doing the same thing.